This video is going to demonstrate just how easy it is to transfer files to your server from your computer and from your server back down to your computer. First, we're going to open up FileZilla and connect to the server. And we can connect to our server either through the Quick Connect bar or through our Site Manager that we can access through the File menu button. Go to Site Manager, and if you've already got some set up in here, just select the one that you want to connect to and then click on Connect. Now when you've successfully connected, and you'll know that because you'll see stuff over here and it'll say so right here, you're going to see your computer, that's the local site on the left hand side, and your server or the remote site on the right hand side. Now on your server, you are by default opening to the root of your server, not the root of your website. That is, of course, if you have a website yet. And you can tell that you're in the root because you got this / right there. Now most web hosting companies tell you which directory you should upload your site files to, and you get that information in that initial email that includes your login stuff whenever you first purchase that web hosting service. Now in this case, it's the public_HTML directory. And if we scroll down just a bit here, you can see it's right here. You can also see this if we hit the plus button there to expand these. And these question marks, by the way, tell you that these directories have not been opened up yet in this particular session. And there we are. And just click on that, and it opens up all the files that we have in our public_HTML. And if you're just starting out, then you probably don't have anything in here except for the file icon up here and a couple of dots off to the right of it. But as you can see, I've already got a few files and folders in here. Now, sometimes it's not the public_HTML directory. Maybe on your web service, it's the HTML doc directory or even the www. But if you're not sure and cannot locate that info on that email that you got originally, then just contact your web hosting service and find out. Now that we've got all that figured out, let's go ahead and start transferring some files. And as far as the process, it's pretty simple. I mean, you got a couple of different ways you can do it. For example, if I want to transfer, you can see that they are in alphabetical order for the most part. But if I want to transfer this FileZilla.xml file over to the server here, and that'll be in the public_HTML directory, then I can just right click on it. And in this drop down list here, I just left click on the upload. And you can see the process as it takes place. And here it is, right here. Let me go ahead and delete that. Right click, left click on delete. Are you sure? Yes. Another way you can upload this or transfer this file, you just left click, hold, and drag this on over here, and then let go. Same thing, easy as pie. And you can do the same thing not just with individual files, but with an entire folder or even with multiple folders or files. For example, if I select this one, hold the shift key down on my keyboard, and then select this guy here, it's going to transfer this single file as well as these 3 directories and all the files contained in there. Now, if there are duplicate files or directories already on the server, then I'm going to get a pop-up box here asking if I want to overwrite those particular files or give me other instructions as to what I want to do with that particular conflict. And in addition to transferring from your computer to your server, you can do the exact same thing from your server to your computer. Just make sure that you are in the proper directory on your computer as to where you want the file to go. For example, if I want to make room and just get rid of this guy here, just delete it. And just as I did from the computer to the server, I just select the file I want to download from the server to the computer, right click, left click on download, or left click, hold, and drag it on over. And there it is. And to demonstrate that error message I was talking about, if we just left click, hold, and drag it on over, this is the box that pops up and gives us actions that it wants us to do, whether we want to resume, rename, skip it, overwrite it if it's different. And we can also check this box here if we want it to always do this particular action that we're going to describe here. And you can see the other information here as well, depicting both the file on the server and the file that it's going to be interacting with on the computer or the local site. We'll go ahead and cancel that out. Now, in addition to transferring files from the left pane or the local site here, you can also do it from your Windows Explorer. Let me demonstrate. And here is my Windows Explorer. This is the desktop here. And if I want to just drag this folder into the server, same exact thing. And by the way, when I say folder, directory, I use those terms interchangeably, so for me they both mean the same thing. I just find it difficult to say one and not the other. And let me see, that was site name 1 or 2. There we are, right there. Open that up, and you can see, and by the way, I just double clicked on that to open it up. But as you can see, it transferred not just that directory, but all the contents as well. And you can also right click and left click on enter directory, and it'll open it up. But I find it just as easy just to double click on the directory to open it up. And that is how you can transfer files both to your server from your computer and to your computer from your server. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. In order for you to own and build on a website, you're going to need at least a couple of things. You'll need a domain name. You'll need a tool to get or transfer files from your computer to your website and from your website to your computer. And you're going to need what is called web hosting. Web hosting is what allows individuals and organizations to make their websites accessible to others via the interweb, otherwise known as the World Wide Web. You can see that when you do a Google search here for web hosting, you're going to get over 500 million results popping back at you. So you can see there's no shortage of options to choose from. This video will help you in your search. While it is possible for you, the individual, to have your own hosting service on your own computer at your own home connected to the internet, that's not what I'm going to be talking about in this video, because 99.9% of you will be purchasing web hosting from a company that specializes in hosting websites. You know, kind of like your HostGators or DreamHost, or one of the other bazillion web hosting companies out there. Now, I'm a huge do-it-yourselfer, but hosting sites on my own computer, not so much. Now, before you purchase what you need, you should think a little bit about what you want. What is your end goal here for your website? Now, I know that there will be some changes as your site evolves, but in order for you to get started in the right direction, you should at least have a bit of a plan laid out first. For example, ask yourself these questions, and grab your pen and paper and write them down. What is my budget for getting things started? How long will that budget last without any income? Will I need a bunch of traffic just to break even? Will I sell things? And if so, what can I sell? Digital goods, physical goods, or both? Will you be hosting large file downloads? Will you have videos on your site? Will I need a secure connection in order to accept credit cards? These are just some of the questions you should write down and refer back to as you do the research for the hosting service you're looking for. Now, I want to first off point out a good resource to go to and a bookmark, and that's our buddies over at Wikipedia. Just do a search there for web hosting service and you'll end up over here. And if we scroll down a tad bit and under types of hosting, these guys give a great demonstration of each type of possible web hosting you would be interested in. From the free that I would highly recommend not getting into to the shared, which is the most popular and a great way to start things out. Next up would be the reseller web hosting, virtual dedicated server, or the VPS, virtual private server, dedicated hosting, and they give you a bit of a comparison between each of these. And this kind of starts off with the least expensive, that being free, and goes up to the most expensive, which is the co-location. Now, cloud hosting is kind of sort of one of the newer guys, and this is ideal for a lot of reasons, but it has a couple of drawbacks that may be deal breakers for you. So by all means, check into these as possible options. Now, one of the more popular services out there is called HostGator. I use HostGator. Actually, I use 4 different web hosting services, but that's information for a different video. But for the time being, I wanted to point out right here, big bold letters, unlimited. Don't let this be the carrot that brings you into buying their particular service. Nothing against HostGator, because if we check out another popular service, one that I use, they use that word quite a bit too. Unlimited disk space, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited database. Well, the thing is, though, is that unlimited is not so unlimited. Whenever your site reaches a certain amount of resources being used or bandwidth being used, your site is going to get shut down, plain and simple. So don't let this be the only thing that draws you into buying their service. I don't want to say anything bad about HostGator or any of the other hosting services out there, because they all do that. I just want to bring it to your attention that unlimited does not mean unlimited. Now, one thing too you want to know is that even though you've been with a particular service for a long time, whether it's several months or several years, if you come to the point where you've either outgrown that particular service or you had several instances where you're not liking their customer support, don't think that you're chained down to that service just because they're watching your websites. No, you can always transfer to another one. Just as they say here at D9, and this is one of the things that I use them for, to actually transfer my reseller account from HostGator. I've got an individual hatchling plan with them now, but I had a reseller account with them, and I had like 25, 26 different sites hosted on that reseller account. I moved them all over to D9, and they did it all for me. So it was like nothing that I had to do except for give them some names and some emails, and bing, bang, boom, they did all the heavy lifting for me, and it was totally free. So just know that you're not chained down to a particular service. If you find that their support or whatever reason you feel you should move, go ahead and move. Now, Rackspace has been around for quite a while, and one of their specialties is that cloud server that I was referring to earlier. The major plus to this is that the traffic spikes that you might encounter and that would get your site shut down on a D9 or a HostGator or a DreamHost or Bluehost, on a cloud server, not so much, because the cloud server uses the resources of many different servers, whereas other servers, the VPSs or the dedicated or the shared, they're using one server. And whether it's dedicated or shared, whenever your website hits that particular spike, boom, you're shut down. These guys, whenever you hit that particular spike, they share those resources out over other servers. So you never really experience a spike. You never get shut down as a result of using excessive resources. The drawback to a cloud type server is that they are being shared over several different servers. So if privacy is a big issue to you in that respect, I mean, they say that everything's secure, but comparing that to a dedicated server, which is on one physical location, and on a cloud server, it's over the course of several different physical locations. If that's the deal breaker for you, well, you should consider that in deciding on if you're going to move everything to the cloud or not. A couple of tools I want to mention here. Uptime Robot at uptimerobot.com. Totally free, and this is a service that will monitor and alert you when your site or sites are down. They'll send you an email or a text message, and if it happens enough times, you might want to consider that as a way of saying bye-bye HostGator or bye-bye DreamHost. Another neat tool is if you come across a site that loads super fast and you visit it regularly and you never see that it's down and you want to see who their hosting service is, this is the site you want to check out, whoishostingthis.com. Just put in their website here, and it'll give you all those details. Hopefully this video will answer a lot of those questions that you wrote down earlier in helping you determine which hosting service or which hosting package and service is best for you. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on web hosting. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a great day. There are tons of FTP programs, both free and premium, or otherwise known as paid programs. In the category of free FTP client programs, there's one that stands out and above the crowd. It's called FileZilla. This video is going to cover the downloading and basic installation of FileZilla. Now, technically, FileZilla is a donationware type of software, meaning you can use it for free all you want, but the creators would very much like for you to donate some money to them if you like using the program. Now, not only is this great karma for you, but it also helps provide money for future updates and support. So without further ado, let's head on over to the FileZilla website to get our software. And we're looking for FileZilla-project.org. And you're going to end up at a page like this, and you've got a couple of options here, well, a couple of major options. That's the client or the server. Now, when talking about File Transfer Protocol, or FTP, there are two ends of the transfer process. The server end, where the files are on the internet, and the client end, where the files are on our computer. So most all of us will only need the client portion of the FileZilla software. So we first off want to just check out the client, so we want to click on that. Oh, and by the way, you may want to bookmark this page here. That way you can refer back to this to cover anything that I may not cover or skim over in this video. Well, let's go ahead and head over to the client. As you saw there, it covers all platforms. Now we want to decide on which platform we have, and of course that's something that you'll have to answer for yourself. My operating system is Windows, and if something says recommended, that's the one you probably want to go with, more times than not anyway. Now if you're using a Macintosh operating system, then you've got these options to choose from here. But or Linux, don't want to leave you guys out of the picture, but I'm going to go with this guy here because that's the one that's recommended. Go ahead and click on that and get their advertising stuff out of the way. Now I've got it set up on my system to download all of my downloads to my downloads directory on my computer. You may have yours set up some other way, but that's just how mine is set up. The executable file here has a parentheses and the 1 there because I've already got this particular file in my system right here, along with a lot of other old ones. Yeah, I've been using this for a while. So let's go ahead and skip this because I've already got it downloaded right here, but you get the idea on downloading it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that out. Let's head on over to my downloads folder. Okay, so here's my downloads. Come on down here to this guy here. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to run as administrator. This guy pops up and you may get a different type of message depending upon, your operating system. I'm using Windows 7. Click on yes. And then I get this guy to pop up. Click on agree. Of course, you want to read all this fancy stuff first, but click on agree. And anyone who uses this computer, that's totally up to you, however you want to do this. Click on next. And I just go with the default settings. That's always fine for me. Well, let's go ahead and throw a desktop icon on there. As you can see, as we hover over these, gives you a little description over here. So if you're not sure about it, just untick it. But this all looks good to me. And click on next. And unless you know what you're doing, I would leave it as far as the default location of the destination folder. Click on next and click on next, and it's installing away. And let's go ahead and start that guy. And here we are. That's how simple it is to download and install your FileZilla FTP software. Now, in closing, I want to say that when there is an update to FileZilla, this is one of the cool things I like about this, besides the fact you can't beat the price, is that when you open up your client software and there is a new version of FileZilla, you're going to be given the option to update instantly, or you can manually update later. Totally up to you. I just do the instant because it takes less than a minute and I'm back to work with an updated program. Simple assignment. That is the end of this video on downloading and installing the FileZilla FTP software. Thanks for watching. You have a great day. In order for you to have, build on, and maintain a website, you're going to need at least a domain name, a web hosting account, and some means of transferring files back and forth between your computer and your website. Now, once you have purchased your domain name, purchased your web hosting service, and you've assigned the name service from your hosting service to your domain name, you're going to need to have login access to your server and FTP. When you purchase your web hosting service, you're sent some important information about your hosting account, and among this information is the login details for your FTP and server. Now, your server, what I'm referring to there is the control panel, and that can be one of a couple of different options. I myself am most familiar with and really love cPanel as my control panel. Another one is Plesk, and there's a few other ones out there that are a little less popular but still basically do the same thing, only do it differently. Now, when you connected your hosting service to your domain name, you use some info that your hosting service sent you when you first purchased their services. Now, more than likely in that same email should also be the login details for your FTP and control panel for your server. Now, this is what it might look like. And of course, if you cannot locate it, then simply contact your hosting company and have them send it to you again. Now, this is one that I received from D9. And it was a rather long email, and they had it sectioned off into several different segments. This is number 4. Now, D9 Hosting is a fantastic hosting service, but depending upon your hosting service, it may look a little bit different, and for that matter, they may send you different login type credentials. For example, on the host name for D9, this is the way it looks. It starts off with www, then the actual domain name .com. Sometimes, but not always, it might also begin with FTP, or for a secure login for FTP, it might even be SFTP, S as in Sam, FTP, not the www. Then they also give you the username and password. Now, like it says here, an alternative might also be the IP address in place of the actual domain name here. Let me show you one that I also received from Namecheap. And Namecheap's pretty well known for their domain names, but they also have a hosting account as well. And this, like with D9, is a rather long email, so I just kind of cut chunks of it out that didn't really pertain to this. And this is an example of a different type of login where they give me, instead of the host name here as the actual www. Then the domain name, the host name here is the actual IP address. then the username, then the password. And down here, they've also got a similar login method using the IP address as the server address, just like here as the host name. And then the username is actually this username here with the @ symbol and then the domain name, then the password, and then this is for a passive mode. Now, if you wanted an active mode and with Namecheap, it might require contacting them to have them set that for active. And this video is not about the difference between active and passive mode for FTP. This is just about getting your login information. So I might cover that in an upcoming video. Now, this should go without saying, but hey, I'm going to say it anyway. You should have some type of organization in place to help keep these important login details where you know where they're going to be. Whether it's something fancy like with a mind map or a spreadsheet type programs, or just some simple text document. Having this information organized and in a safe place will save you loads of time, and even more so as you gain more domains. So organize now, save time later. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. In order for you to have and build on a website, you're going to need at least two things. You're going to need web hosting, and you'll need a domain name. Now, the domain name can be the trickiest of these two because it requires you to do a little research, and even after you do the research to figure out what you want for your domain name, it may no longer be available. Like fingerprints, there are no two domain names exactly alike. So if someone else bought the name you wanted, you're just out of luck. Of course, you could try and purchase the domain name from the current owner, but that really works out in your favor without costing you an arm and a leg. For me, though, I try for a domain name that was very close to the original one that I wanted. For example, if I wanted applerecipe.com and it was already taken, which by the way it is, then I'd try, say, best or thebestapplerecipe.com, or even throw on a suffix, maybe apple recipe winners or specific type of apple recipe like crab apple recipe. Again, use your imagination there. As a matter of fact, that's what we're going to be doing now, is checking into some tools that will help us with locating the perfect domain for our website. The first tool, and by the way, these are by all means not all the tools available out there. These are just some that I've had some personal experience with. And something else too, even though some of these tools may offer the option of purchasing the domain name right there from their site, hold off on that. I've got some additional tools for you later on in this video for purchasing the domain names. But the first one is psychicwhois.com. Just type in the name that you're wanting, and as you're typing, it will give you some suggestions, as well as when you're done typing, it'll tell you if the one you wanted is already taken or not. For example, Apple Recipe, as you can see here, the red guys, you got it. That means they're already gone. AppleRecipe.com, .net, .org, and .us are already taken. But you've got some additional options here that Psychic Who Is tells you is or is not already available. And by the way, unless you think otherwise, I would suggest sticking with just the .com for your domain names, because that's the most popular right now anyway. And they're looking at adding additional extensions as time rolls on, so there's going to be some pretty funky ones out there, like .money, and there's a lot more that are in the works. So for the time being, though, .com is the most popular, and that's one that I would be looking for. So that's Psychic Who Is, and you'll find that a lot of these tools are pretty much the same. Now, Bust a Name is a little more extensive. You can put in some keywords here, and it will do a lot of the research for you. And without spending a whole lot of time on this site, I'm just going to point you over to their video tutorials, and I would definitely check out Bust a Name, bookmark it, and use it. A cool tool is domainsbot.com. Like with Psychic Who Is, you just type in the name here, and it'll start spitting out some suggestions. But they've got some additional tools over here on the left that'll help you out even further too. Synonyms, prefixes, suffixes, I mean all kinds of cool stuff. And you can see right here what is and what is not available. Domain Typer is another fun one. You can find that at domaintyper.com. It'll also spit out some of those funky extensions I was talking about earlier, like applerecipe.pi. Again, I would stay away from these. I would simply stick with the .coms for the time being. And these big bright red boxes, guess what? That means that particular extension is already taken. But if you want to find out more about it, you've got the ability to check out the site, the who is, meaning who owns it currently and possibly throw them a line and see if they might consider, working out a deal with you. You can see how popular that current site is. That might give you an idea as to how much money they're going to be wanting for it if it's really popular, and so on. And another one here is Moniker. That's at moniker.com. It too has a whole lot of tools working with it, so add this to your bookmarks as well. Another great tool is Knowem.com, because one thing you should be looking at is brand recognition for your website. One of the most powerful ways to brand yourself or website is through social media. Plus, once you've established a connection or created an account on the social media sites that will complement your website and services, then you stand a greater chance of tapping into all that free traffic from these sites, as well as the search engine loving backlinks from these social sites to your website. Win, win, win. Knowem.com is a site that can help establish a brand continuity with over 600 different social media sites. Once you've signed up for your free account, you can then check if your username is being used on any of the 600 social media sites that Knowem.com monitors. This way, you'll have a better idea if one of the domain names you're wanting has already been used in a lot of these social media sites. Now you can make a more informed choice as to which domains to go with or to kick off your list. And then we have plenty of tutorials online here as far as how to go about establishing these connections. So by all means, check out Knowem.com. Now, as far as the actual purchasing of your domain name, my first suggestion would be NameSilo, mainly because of the price. It's not feature rich, but it is definitely fantastic as far as the price. It's one of the best ones you're going to find out there. There's no hidden fees, and it's $8.99 a year, and that's it. You can even get some discounts on there as well. But if you, for example, were to purchase your domain name from GoDaddy whenever they've got one of their sales going on, and you can get a .com, because again, you really only want to look for .coms. There may be reasons for you to look for other extensions, but I'm suggesting .com. But if you get a .com for, say, 99 cents for the first year, go ahead and purchase it through GoDaddy or whatever, and then after, say, 60 days or so, go ahead and transfer it over to a NameSilo.com, and that way you're just getting an additional year added on to the year that GoDaddy gave you for whatever cost this is. And at the time of this recording, it's $8.99. So for $8.99 from NameSilo and the 99 cents you purchased it from, again, using this as an example, GoDaddy, you've now got 2 years paid for on your domain name, and it's now located at NameSilo. Again, it doesn't have a whole lot of features, but if features are what you're looking for and a great price, Namecheap is your company, because Namecheap is great. Their prices just went up recently. It's a little over $10 for a year, but they've also got some additional great services that NameSilo does not. For example, free SSL certificates for the first year. After that, they're really inexpensive too. But even then, you may want to hold off on buying a domain name until you check into web hosting, because some web hosting companies will offer a free domain name if you purchase a package through them. But web hosting is a video for another day. For the time being, though, this is going to bring us to an end on this video on domain names. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day.